Sister Amazons and Witches. I'm Lori the Witchcrafter, and we have now entered the winter season. So it's time to print out your winter suit of cards and get them started. We begin the season at the winter solstice with Yule. So there's my Yule card. And during the winter season, we honor the matriarch goddess and the women who are matriarchs, or the crones amongst us. We honor them during the winter season. The second holiday of the winter season is Candlemas. During the winter, we honor the north and the element of earth. This is when we would call a high priestess. Now, we don't have any high priestesses currently in the Amazon tradition. We would only call one after a woman has hived off several covens and is trying to oversee several and to coordinate them and network them. And at this time, there's no need for that. But should there ever come a time, then it will be during the season of winter, and probably at the Candlemas ritual that we would install a high priestess. This is also the dream time, so we honor the dream keeper and the healer and the midwife and the drummers among us. Those who keep that steady heartbeat, that rhythm of the earth going. And finally, the cauldron. So the cauldron is what feeds us. It's what transforms us. And it's where we can place our offerings and things like that. So with that, we don't build cauldrons, but one way to think about that is that we make little offering bowls during the winter season. So this one I have has got a wheat head in it and some other seeds that I've collected, waiting for the springtime, excuse me, anticipating the springtime. I've also got some rocks that I brought from Ireland that are very special to me. And so I think of rock as the earth, of course, and so this bowl is holding those things that sustain and nurture us. It's also the season when we would make little plates. So I showed you in the fall that I make little chalices and little water pitchers. Well, this would be the bowl that I would make salt water in, and this is the plate that I would leave on the altar to hold offerings. So again, they're very small and they don't take up a lot of space on the altar, and they travel very easily. I can stuff my whole altar set in pretty much a pair of socks and throw it in my suitcase, and I'm traveling. So let's get on to it. Get on over to the workbench, and we will get started making an offering bowl and an offering plate made out of glass. We're going to continue making that glass set, which you can do very easily at home with the glass etching compound. And that way you don't need to have, if you don't make them in clay, you don't need to have the kiln or the pottery wheel or, any of that stuff. These are just, very quick. When you make them out of glass, they're very quick to make and very inexpensive, and you don't need a lot of skill. That being said, though, as we finish up our altar set, if you have the opportunity to work in clay, I highly recommend it. You can start with the glass, but later on, if you have the opportunity to take a pottery class, I encourage you to do it. Working with clay is a wonderful thing because it calls in all of the elements to make your altar set. So you've got the clay is the earth itself. It dries and and the clay holds the earth and water in it, right? Because the clay is moist. But then when you dry it and you fire it, you're calling in the elements and working with the elements of air and fire. So you've got in the clay itself, the earth and the water and in the process, the air and the fire. So again, we're making glass in this series because it's quick and easy for you to do at home. You don't need any special tools. But if you do get the chance, please avail yourself of the opportunity to learn to work with clay. But in the meantime, come on over to the workbench and we'll get started. Okay, so here we are at the work table again, and we are working on our plate and our bowl for, like I would use this bowl for either an offering, but most often I would use it to make the salt water. So I would use the pitcher we did in the fall, and I would pour the water with some salt in here and make salt water so that I could use to cleanse our ritual space. So there you go. And we're using the Armor Etch glass etching cream, which you can pick up at Michael's. And I got this little plate at Michael's, as well as the little candle holder, which is going to serve as our bowl with our entire set. So here we go. I'm going to use these little stencils and draw them on real quickly. Okay, now we'll paint them up with the cream. All right, we'll set that aside and let it dry, or not dry, but let it work for a few minutes, and then I'll wash it off and we'll get right back to you. Okay, so I washed them up and cleaned them up a bit, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to see how that came out. Now I'm going to be real honest, I'm probably going to go back over portions of it with the etching cream and get a deeper etch, but for the most part, I'm very happy for a very inexpensive, fast way to do a little offering plate. And then this is the outcome for the little water bowl or offering bowl. Again, I'm thrilled. Let me show you. We'll pretend this is our altar and we'll set this up. So here's what our chalice looks like, and I gotta say, it handles real nicely. So offering plate, chalice. Here is our candle holder and our incense holder. And again, we would put some sand in each of these. So we could put our candle and our incense, either stick or cone, in this one. And then we have our little side pieces to make our salt water or our other offerings during ritual. And there you have it, your 6-piece altar set, all etched up with goddesses on them. Okay? Put that one over there so you can see it a little better. And there we have it. Okay, so that completes your altar set. And by now you should be finishing up your cards and having them completely laminated. And we'll be finishing up the Year in a Day study with braiding our cords next time on the Amazon Witchcrafter.